Now let's learn how to use a very important tool in Excel that is called the Vlookup and the HLOOKUP. Vlookup stands for vertical lookup, where you use the range of data to look vertically for a certain data that relate to a certain value that you tell the equation to look for. HLOOKUP is the same concept, but it's looking for the data in a horizontal way. To learn more about those two very useful tools, let's jump into our Excel sheet and learn through practical steps how to use those two very useful tools. Now we have here a table. We have an order number from 1 to 5. We have the price and we have the customer name. Let's say you have a certain restaurant and you give each customer a certain order number. When the customer go back to you like half hour or 1 hour later, then you want to be able to identify that customer from the order number. In this case, you can use the Vlookup as the basic brick on how to use Excel to manage a simplified restaurant in this case. But of course, the regular systems are a little more complicated than that, but they all follow the same logic that we're using here by using the Vlookup. Now, what I'm trying to do with the software, I'm trying to put the order number over here in the orange area and be able to pull back the customer name related to that order. In this case, the order in column A, that's where the order numbers are, and the customer name in column C. We inputted these manually, and let's say that's the total price for that order. Of course, not realistic for a restaurant, but for the sake of demonstrating how the Vlookup work, that would be a good example. Now I want the order number to look for to be inputted down here, and the customer name, which is the result of the formula that we're going to use, should be displayed down here. So we start with the equal sign. Vlookup is written exactly as Vlookup. V stands for vertical. We open parentheses. Now you can see by looking at the guidance of the equation, now he say what is your lookup value that you want. Either you put a value right away like 1, 2 or 3. Those are the values that we want to use as a lookup value. So let's say when we choose number 2, we are trying to say with the equation what is the related customer name bonded to order number 2. Then he will jump to the customer name and display it for you. That's basically what we are trying to do in the simplest form possible. What we're gonna do here for convenience, we don't want to keep going back to the equation and putting the lookup value every time. We tell him to pick up this cell, whatever order number in this cell, take it and pull back whatever customer name related to that order and show it to me right here in this cell. Hopefully that's clear. At the first shock you will be a little confused, so I were confused about the Vlookup until I got a grab of it on how it works. So we have order number, whatever order number you have in this cell should be called out in the equation. That's your lookup value, comma. Now he say what is your table array, like what is the data that you're trying to include in your Vlookup. In this case we have order, we have price, and we have customer name. We can include all of these from A2 all the way to C6 and be able to look into those data and give me back the value I need. Now comma, col index num. It means what is the column index number. That could be confusing, so if you pay attention with me for this one, you will understand it in no time. Now you selected what data you want to include within your lookup table. That's where the data are being called out or related to each other. Like order number 1 is related to customer name John and related to price 200, and number 2 is related to customer Ted and the price 300, and so on. Now column index, he's telling you, okay, you want me to look into the order column, and whatever number you put for me here, let's say number 1, you want me to look what value is attached to that number, but tell me what you want me to bring back to you. You want me to show you what is the price for that order, or you want me to show you the customer name? In this case, we want to show the customer name. He say, okay, give me what's the column index. I'm not very smart here. That's what the program is saying. I'm not very smart. Tell me, like the data you selected, you have 1, 2, 3 columns. Which column that is attached to the order number that you called out you are interested in? In this case, we're interested in pulling back the customer name and that index related to our selection. You should pay attention that it's related to your selection. So you have here all those data selections. You have 1, 2, and 3 columns. So this column, so the order column is index 1. That's the first column. Price is index 2. Customer name is index 3. You can imagine it as column 1 of the data selected, column 2, and column 3. Now we're interested to pull back the data related to the order number out of the customer name, which is column number 3. So I would put number 3 here. Then I would put a comma. He say true means he will give you all the data that are approximately match what you want in your order number. Or you say false, that means you give you exact match. In this case, we're not trying to match any data. We're trying to be as simple as possible. So we click false, like whatever order 1 have related to him as a customer name, put back this customer name for me. So we need exact match in this case. We close parentheses. So we have order 1. We're telling him, go to order number 1 and count to the third column, like 1, 2, and 3, and pull me back that data in that cell in column index 3 related to order 1. What is the name on that order? Hit enter. He should give you John. He gave you John. Now, since we kind of built the formula to be a little smarter or a little smooth in usage, so we can put the next number right away. What if I want to know, so customer came back to me, he walk in the door and he say, hey, I have order number 3, and you will tell him, what is your name? He would say, my name is Blake. Let's see, number 3, Blake. Yep, that order number is related to the customer name Blake. So you know that's his order number. His order is ready. You handle it to him, and you can create another VLOOKUP to pull up the price. So he will show you customer name and price over here at the same concept. Now, well, let's do that, So we put here price instead of name, or you know what, keep it as customer name. Now here we add price. Now we need to add a new VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP, open parentheses, look at the order number, comma, for the value range that I'm selecting here, comma, and look into column index 1, 2, 3. We need column index 2, which is the price. Then hit or type in false. I need the exact data to be pulled back to me. Hit enter. He said the total for that order is $400. Now you say, hey Blake, you have a price of $400. Give me your card. Finish the order. Life is good. So you created a simple kind of program. Even though you want to add those manually, you can use the Excel as your cashier support tool to pull up your orders just using the VLOOKUPs. Hopefully that's clear enough. So VLOOKUP, you have your index value or the cell which have your index value, and you have your data range or table array, they call it. Select the data range that you want to pull. Then you say which column you want to pull back the data from. Is it customer name? Is it the price? And you hit the false, and you should be good to go.